What's up, gamers, and welcome back for more WotC-20. Today's matchup is TakoBel versus Magcargo Typhlosion. TakoBel meaning Octillery and Victory Bell for all of you Takoyaki fans and Victory Bell fans out there. Now, this will have some interesting type matchup relevancy where the Victory Bell line will be fire weak, but the Octillery line will be super effective against Magcargo and Typhlosion. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'm not sure if either deck is running Mime. So to start it off, it looks like Cleffa versus Igglybuff, and a Slugma will be on the bench along with another Cleffa on the TakoBel side. So it looks like first turn has gone to, who is it? Is it TakoBel? Kind of hard to tell right now. Lots of thinking apparently. You can see a Gustin Fan Club in hand for Magcargo Typhlosion, so it does look like first turn has gone to TakoBel, and they also have a fan club, so thinking about kind of what to lay down there. Looks like the actives were not entirely obvious, and we'll see what gets grabbed now. Assumedly it will be a Remoraid and a Bellsprout. Quick deck peep as well, probably. And I don't think that Igglybuff will have anything relevant other than being able to free retreat out of the active this match. Not going to have any good targets for it. On the bench, on Victory Bell's side, it looks like double Bellsprout. That's a very interesting choice considering the type matchup.
It is, but I have, they're all heavy. Everyone's heavy on.
And in hand, let's see. Very hard to see what's in hand. I think there's a Remoraid sitting there, so that could explain the double Bellsprout fan club. Alright, and fan club into comp search. Oh my gosh, there's every Bellsprout in the deck. 2 Bellsprout to the bin for computer search. That's a strategy. With that kind of knowledge up on the board too, wouldn't be surprised if we see some aggressive gusting and some super effective fire attacks. Usually you see computer search for fan club rather than fan club followed by computer search. But maybe this deck is running Elms. Maybe Oak would be kind of surprising to see, and it looks like they grabbed a Goldberry, just barely saw it. You can see DCE in hand, maybe an item finder, Remoraid, and I can't quite tell what else. And there is that Remoraid. Remoraid is also an interesting card. DCE goes onto the Cleffa, Goldberry comes down onto one of the Bellsprout. That Remoraid is a free retreater, and Sharpshooter is an interesting attack for a coin flip. You can pick one of your opponent's Pokemon and deal 20 to it on heads. So it looks like that Eek hit a Tails on the baby roll. Fan Club from Magcargo's side comes down. Probably going to see that into at least one Cleffa, and likely a Cyndaquil. Now, Octillery in this deck has 80 HP, and the Victory Bell is going to have 90. Of course, with the fire weakness, that doesn't really matter about the 90. But, yeah, there's the Cyndaquil. I would have thought the Goldberry would have come down onto the Remoraid, just because the Octillery at 80 is going to be able to survive most of what Magcargo can dish out, at least for one blow. Fire Stream dealing 60 is usually accompanied by Strength Charms in this deck, so even if it hits for 70, Goldberry on the Remoraid would allow Octillery to survive a hit later down the road. A Fire Stream from Magcargo to a Victory Bell, nothing is saving it there with regards to the Goldberry. So Igglybuff comes to the bench on free retreat, Cleffa comes active, Fire Energy to active Cleffa, so we'll see some Eek on Eek action here. You can see a Gust, though. Gust wouldn't be the worst thing to pull in a Bellsprout. Get a free Eek. There's also a Shaman. Looks like maybe an Oracle? And he's thinking about that Gust pretty hard. It would consume the opponent's attach for turn next turn. And he does decide to Gust up the Goldberry Bellsprout. Probably an arbitrary choice. Gets a free Eek. And I only mean free in the sense of having to flip through a baby roll, not free in the sense that it cost a Gust. I do believe Magcargo runs more than 2 copies of Gust, though. It's either 3 or 4. So using 1 in this case is fine. DCE retreats the Bellsprout, gets an Eek off through the baby rule, so both sides are shuffling and eking. We'll see what comes down. Both benches moderately set up, looking pretty good. 1 tap, 1 cut. We'll see who regrets that. And I can see a DCE in hand for Magcargo's side. Another Slugma comes down, probably a second Cyndaquil as well, yep. Perfect way to fill out the bench there, probably the ideal spread as far as the engine goes. I am assuming that this is the Heat Up Typhlosion, although it might play a single copy of Fire Recharge from Neogenesis. We will see when we get there. And Computer Search, what's going to get discarded here? A Fire Energy and an Oracle. Oracle does see some fringe play, not half bad with Magcargo, because if you do use Eruption, you can stack a Fire Energy on top, and then also guarantee your next draw. And I assume we're going to see a Computer Search for maybe a supporter or trainer. Okay, not sure what the card was. And a DCE comes down onto a Slugma, starting to get a main attacker powered up. And a Copycat, looks like that's what was pulled out with Computer Search. Always good to Copycat off of your opponent's Eek. Probably looking for some Evo lines here, start getting a Quilava down, get a Magcargo down. Alright, and looks like that Copycat is going to just result directly in an Eek. So Computer Search was a discard 2 into a Copycat into an Eek. That's a lot of trainers. First Octillery comes down, along with a Water Energy onto that Remoraid. And an Elm, so no more trainers for turn. Hopefully they keep that out. Octillery has two important paragraphs on it. The first one for Suction Cup says its body means when it's active, whenever the defending Pokemon retreats, you discard all energy cards attached to the defending Pokemon when it goes to the bench. So Warp Energy does get around that, but it is a very powerful ability. And then for Smokescreen, for a water and a double colorless, if the defending Pokemon tries to attack during your opponent's next turn, your opponent flips a coin. If tails, that attack does nothing. On top of that, it'll deal 40. So you can get around the Smokescreen effect by free retreating and getting out of active, but it's hard to get out of the active with Suction Cups. And 40 for 2 attaches is just very strong. DCE was never really a thing for E-card, so being able to pair them up here is very strong usually. Balance not considered. Magcargo is another e-reader card that takes advantage of that DCE synergy. So it looks like Tails on the Eek. Still no Weepin' Bell. And a Strength Charm comes down onto both Slugmas on the bench. Lots of decisions. Okay, a Warp Point comes down. So opponent switches, then you switch. Looks like Octillery side is just going to toggle those 2 Cleffas, one from active and bench swapping. Okay. And then I guess Magcargo side just swapped Cleffa out to Igglybuff and free retreated back in, so Warp Point did nothing, and Shaman comes down. So both sides shuffle hands in, draw 4. I guess they wanted to just drop the Warp Point to deck thin or see if it would result in different actives. Alrighty, Fire Energy comes down onto Slugma, so still no Magcargo to be found, still no Quilava to be found. Eek attempt is good, we'll see if we find some for next turn. Back to Octillery side, still no Weepin' Bell to be found, and we know that all the Bellsprouts are in the bin or on the bench, 2 and 2. And there's the first Weepin' Bell into a copycat off of Eek. Always good. And that is a Jungle Weepin' Bell with 70 HP. 2 useful attacks, but it's not powered up yet. We'll see if poison ends up mattering. Cards like Magcargo and Typhlosion usually have high retreat cost, so poisoning them can be an effective strategy. Cleffa retreats, Octillery comes in, DCE from hand, Octillery's powered up now. Attempting to attack for a knockout on Cleffa, and it's good, so coming off the bench, getting powered up and taking the knockout. Very good considering that there's no other Cleffa for Magcargo's side available. Everything right now is water weak. I don't think they run Mime. Igglybuff can't do much, but Igglybuff will come in because it's a free retreater. Gonna need to draw something good off of the Eek. Gonna need Quillavas, gonna need Magcargos, gonna need energy. There's a Magcargo. And there's a fire energy, so Strength Charm and 2 fire energies attached to that Magcargo. There's the Mime. Alright. And a trader for... puts away an E-Reader Slugma. Pulls out 1 E-Reader Quillava. So Mime's a big deal. That Octillery can no longer hit for super effectiveness. Of course, Magcargo can no longer hit for super effectiveness either on those Weepin' Bell, so... I'm sure that Octillery side wouldn't mind having an Igglybuff of their own. Second Magcargo comes down as well. So that was pretty good. Is Magcargo coming up? Surprised to see Magcargo come in here. Oh, there was a DCE hiding on it. Just couldn't see it. Okay. Alright, Fire Stream is gonna proc. So 1 fire energy to the bin. That might matter considering that there's no Typhlosion engine set up yet for heat up. It's going to deal a lot of damage to active thanks to Strength Charm and a lot of bench damage across the board. At the moment for rulings, Strength Charm does augment bench damage, which is being explored by Rules Committee. So potential Magcargo nerf someday, we'll see. Now, Magcargo itself only has 80 HP, so if Octillery stands in and attacks anyway, it can 2-shot, even with Mime down. And Smokescreen will give it the opportunity to force Magcargo to miss on one of its attacks. There's the first victory bell of the game. Looks like we're going immediately for Fragrance Trap, and it's a heads. I wouldn't have minded just standing in and attacking that Magcargo since it decelerated energy. There's no Typhlosion, and you know, you have a chance with Smokescreen. Of course, it could just use Eruption and knock out the Octillery, and I guess that would be very bad, but pulling in the Cyndaquil here is okay. It does have 40 HP, so this is a guaranteed knockout, but on the crackback, you're going to have that Magcargo likely come right back in anyway. Remoraid takes the final bench slot, and a Grass Energy attaches to Bellsprout instead of Victory Bell, along with a Goldberry. Goldberries are now effective anywhere they go. And there's an Elm. So that Bellsprout only has, does it only have 40 or does it have 50? That one's got 50. There is one with 40 in E-Reader, and I've never seen the card art before. Alright, and Octillery will take the knockout, despite Mime, on the 40 HP Cyndaquil. Igglybuff comes in. Free retreats out to Magcargo, which can Eruption for a Revenge knockout. Had a Fire Energy anyway in hand here, so we're about to see... Oh no. Triple knockout. Wow. Okay, so that was 3 prizes. Magcargo takes out the active with Fire Stream on that fire attach, as well as 2 injured benched Pokemon. I believe that was 2 Cleffas. They scooped him up quick, but huge 3 prize turn there. Now, if Magcargo can get another Strength Charm onto it with a Fire Energy, that Bellsprout would also take enough bench damage based on how things are currently going to also get knocked out by another Fire Stream. Fragrance Trap is good. Likely going to see the other Magcargo pulled in. Nope, pulls in the Mime. But there's no way to knock out the Mime right now. Alright, big turn it looks like, trying to figure out how to reverse the board state here. A trader will put a Cleffa in. It's got to get an Octillery, right? Or a Cleffa. It will be the Octillery. Just an excellent and efficient attacker, very disruptive. It is Lightning Week though, so we haven't seen a lot of Rocket Zapdos in the meta lately, but it does show up when things get hairy. That would be a decent response. And Grass to Bellsprout on active. Might see a blot here. Mr. Mime does have 50 HP. And it will be a blot, so that does get a damage counter off a Bellsprout. Kind of interesting for Goldberry math. It only puts 20 onto the Mime. So the Mime is not even looking like it's knocked out on board for next turn right now. Reverse Holo Trader from Legendary Collection. It's going to throw a Cyndaquil out, probably bring in a Typhlosion. Now if you've seen this deck before, alright, it's not going to be the Heat Up Typhlosion. It is the, what I believe is a single copy of the Fire Recharge Typhlosion. So once during your turn before you attack, you can flip a coin, and if heads, you can attach a Fire Energy from your discard pile to one of your Fire Pokemon. Whereas Heat Up will attach to your bench from the deck, this Typhlosion is good for the bin. And it looks like Recharge is going to be a heads. Magcargo is now powered up. Attached return goes to the active Mime. Fire Recharge could not have attached to Mime because it is not a fire type. And this will be a Town V break. We'll be right back. Alright, so Mime will retreat off that fire energy. Magcargo will come in. I did not catch what was town volunteered, but I don't think it's going to matter. Energy Stadium looks like that was a Tails. And Firestream is going to knock out that Bellsprout, take Goldberry off the board as well as 2 energy. There's no energy on this Octillery. Bench damage ticks up. So Victory Bell and Octillery stand in. That Goldberry will pop though and fully heal the Victory Bell. Quick bin check, and I think at this point you have to put Octillery up front. And you have to Fragrance Trap your way into stalling a little bit here. Maybe pull in that Typhlosion. So prizes right now 4-2 in favor of Magcargo. Trying to find a way to get this Octillery back up and running to attack. Fragrance Trap is good. Looks like we're pulling the Mime back in. And with 1 card in the opponent's hand, that will prevent Fire Recharge from providing energy to retreat it. It'll also, if knocked out... Oh, there's 2 cards in hand, and 1 is a Fire Energy, so that's too bad. There's also Energy Stadium. So, that Mime has a good chance to retreat. And even consuming attach for turn on the retreat. Fire Energy from Recharge will probably keep this Magcargo rolling. We do see an Elm. We'll see if that gets some energy for Octillery. Don't really need the Mime knocked out at this point. Just need some good smoke screens. Energy Stadium benefiting Octillery as well here. Probably going to go and fetch a water from the bin. Doing a quick hand check against the bin. And pulls out the water, attaches for turn. And that'll be a pass. So we know there's a Fire Energy in hand. Slugma comes down onto the bench. Fire Recharge from Typhlosion is good. And we'll once again get Magcargo going here. So we're looking at a knockout on board. Tails for Energy Stadium though. There's the Fire Energy to retreat. The Mime gets away. The Magcargo comes in, and we're going to see another Fire Stream for 60, perfectly knocking out that Octillery. And based on board state, that's probably good as dead. They're going to play it out. There's 1 prize left for Magcargo to grab. I guess, let's see. We're going to try to Fragrance Trap our way out of this one. I don't think Octillery Victory Bell runs a stadium of their own. There's a grass attach. There's no fast way to get Victory Bell up though. It's just 3 attaches. That was not a big copycat. Fragrance Trap is also a Tails. And a Tails on Energy Stadium, so Magcargo can't take the knockout this turn. Double Tails for Typhlosion as well as Energy Stadium. Another Magcargo comes down. Fire Energy from hand anyway for Fire Stream. With Mime down, that puts this Victory Bell to 70 out of 90. quick bin check. Not sure there's anything that can be done at this point. The only line of play I can think of is you put a baby onto the bench, you have an attach for turn, you get the victory belt out of there. Not that it would hide very successfully from any of the bench spread damage coming in from Magcargo fairly consistently. There is an item finder for an Elm. Looking for something in the deck that says win the game or take 4 prizes. And that's probably going to do it here. We'll mess around with the hands for a bit. We'll try to Fragrance Trap. That was a Tails anyway. And it looks like Magcargo has the game sealed next turn. So thank you for watching. If you would have piloted this any different, let us know how you would have handled it either on the TakoBel side or on the Magcargo side. And other than that, thank you for watching.